thanks for being here with us.
Our pleasure.
We wanted to ask you 11 questions we have for cruises, and we're asking them to everyone. So,
Okay. Sounds good.
and then we might interadd it or not, depending on whatever comes out of it. And so the first question we have for you is your names and then ages, if you wanna, and then nationality.
Okay.
My name's Philip Perfitt, and I'm 58 years old.
Liar. Okay, you are.
No, I don't think so. I'm Canadian. That answers the question.
I'm a happy Canadian who is 59 years old, and my name is Deb Perfitt.
Cool. And your boat and size and type, and if you want to elaborate with it.
We have a steel hull sloop. It's 42 feet, designed by David Folks in Vancouver, Canada. It was built on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo. So we call it a Folks 42.
And was it in production, or is it
No,
boat
it's,
show for you?
It's a one-off boat because it was based on plans for a 39-foot boat. But the builder, who was building it for himself, stretched it to 42 feet.
Okay,
From the plans for a 39. So.
And you bought it off of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He lived aboard the boat for like 6 years. Before he had it for sale for a couple of years, but before we found it, so.
It was waiting for us.
And what do you particularly like about the boat? Why did it entice you? Why did you want to?
One, it's the spacious openness inside was one thing because we knew we were going to be living aboard. The steel hull was a plus for us. We weren't looking for a steel boat, but when we found it, it was like, wow, it's fairly new. It's in good condition because it was built in 2006. We bought it in 2012, and being a steel hull, we thought, well, it's going to be very strong, very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Cruising into unknown waters, where charts are sketchy sometimes.
And well insulated as well. The boat itself is overbuilt. That's the words of the surveyor when we had it surveyed. Over-engineered, overbuilt. So we felt, and we always have felt very safe with her, even in really rough water.
Hmm.
So, and it looks like a little apartment. It doesn't look like a boat. So it's in the inside. So we like that.
Yeah.
And it has a full keel.
Full keel.
How did you decide on that?
It just came with the boat. It's not a thing we were looking for, but we were looking for a boat that would be suitable for offshore sailing. So we were not looking for a coastal cruiser like the production boats of the 90s and the 2000s.
I kind of, when I ask sometimes little questions, to round it up.
As they occur to you. Yeah.
And I'll try to stay off of what you are saying. So I will not try, I won't interrupt you or anything, so it's easier for the editing later, that I'm like over you. So I'll be careful.
It's okay.
I'm usually not.
When we were shopping for a boat, we had a spreadsheet, okay? And on the spreadsheet, there was 3 parameters on the spreadsheet. Things that we liked, things that we wanted. Things that we needed was the second parameter, and cost factor. And we gave it a value system for each point that each boat that we saw, because we must have crawled on 50, 60 boats looking for a boat within 5 years. So when we rated this boat with the same parameters that we had on the other boats, this one scored very high for us because of the space. I only wanted 1 wash, 1 bathroom. I only wanted enough room for 2 people. All boats are only built for 2, even though we have 2 children on board now. And this boat scored very high. It was a little more money than we wanted to spend, but we felt that the value was there.
Maybe now is a good time to introduce the other passengers.
Oh, they're not here.
Well, just in talking.
Sure.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we have Sierra and Savannah, our grandchildren. They've been on board with us since last July, and they'll be on board with us until next July. And they are ages 11 and 12, and we boat school, and then we have no book school days, and they have learned a lot about sailing. They each have their own, while we're on passage, they each have their own watches for 1 hour each, one at 11, one at 3. They've learned how to keep all of their stuff in a very minimal space. They've learned how to respect each other in closed spaces, which is hard for young ladies. We're very proud of them, and they're really good shipmates. Like, really, they're there to help whenever we need them, and they're very good shipmates.
Did you see a progression, or like a little bit not a transition, but a change in them? Because now they've been with you like for 9 months, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Close to 9 months. And yeah, very much so, about how they deal with other people. And point in case is when we were moored, or not moored, when we were docked in Sausalito. Outside of the cruising club there was a lot of people that were homeless. And the girls, trying to be very sensitive to their needs, came to me and said, Oma, those people are transients. And I said, yes, sweetie, but so are we. So, and it just showed them that anybody can be a transient, and cases change. And from that day forward, they've been very sensitive to other people living on boats. So, yeah, and the way their learning curve was really, really steep. They had to learn all the systems of the boat, so just in case. They monitor the radio for us while they're in here doing the schoolwork, and we're up in the cockpit. So they are actually crew members in every sense of the word.
Certainly their sense of the world has expanded since they started the voyage with us 9 months ago.
Yeah.
Cool. Now maybe the third question is about years of cruising and coming from and going to.
Years of experience?
No, years of cruising.
We don't know how long we're going to be cruising.
Well, we just started last summer, 2014. We set out from Victoria, and now we're here in San Diego 10 months later. We don't know how long it's going to last.
But we don't have...
We'll keep going till it's over.
Yeah. We have sold our homes. We have sold our cars. We don't have a storage unit. We don't have anything to tie us back to a land-based living. Our hopes is to keep going forward, stopping in places like San Francisco, San Diego, and enjoy the fruits of whatever's in the city, meet really nice people, and just carry on to the next little stop. So we foresee to be sailing for a long time. I mean, we'd have no wishes to go back to a home, be tied to a garden, a roof repair.
Live through a snowy winter.
No. So no, this lifestyle definitely suits us.
And any route, the route you're going to take from here on, from San Diego?
Oh, that depends. Right now we're going to Mexico. Okay, we know that. We plan to be in Mexico for about a year. We want to go explore everything there is to explore. I would like to do a yoga retreat in Mexico. Then we have applied to go to Brazil as an ambassador with the Olympics. If we get chosen, we'll go right through the Panama Canal If we're not chosen, we'll go left towards the Marquises. We don't know which way we're going to go yet.
I think I have to add something in here about your experience, your sailing experience, because you have extensive sailing experience.
I sailed as a child with my father, and Phil, you can talk for yourself. And then we had a couple of boats while we were going through life. Our first boat was a fiberglass 14-foot turquoise. I don't even know what make it was. I forget. The first boat we had in North Bay.
Oh, it was just a 18-foot runabout, a power boat.
It sunk once.
Yeah. But as far as sailing, I sailed small dinghies in the summertime for a couple of years, and then didn't sail for many years until we lived in Vancouver Island. Deb's dad had a sailboat that we took out a few times every summer for a few years.
Yeah.
So, not a lot of experience sailing. Some, enough to know that we can do it.
We knew all the nautical names for the pieces of the
Not
boat.
as much as we've gained in the last 9 months.
That's right.
Beforehand.
So if you want to learn how to sail, go sail.
Just go do it.
Just go do it. Definitely. You don't need a badge.
Can you go a little bit more into the motivation for cruising and how long between the dream and the sail off? And
Well, we discussed what we were going to do after retirement. When we were within probably 10 years of retiring, we started thinking about what we were going to do. We had both talked about going sailing, going cruising, and we decided, yeah, let's give that a try. Let's do that. So we developed a 5-year plan to figure out what we needed to do, and then do it. Find a boat, outfit it, and go, and have that coordinate with our anticipated retirement dates. And that worked very well. Finding the boat took longer than we had thought, but not that much longer, a couple of years. And then we retired early, a year early than anticipated. But we already had the boat, so it was like we just moved on to the boat.
Yep.
Started getting ready.
Good to go.
So we lived on the boat about a year before we actually left the dock.
We wanted to get used to the boat, the systems, do a little bit of adding onto the equipment of the boat, because the boat essentially never really sailed anywhere. It was a liveaboard before, so we needed to find some more equipment and install it before we could go, with the bare minimum.
We didn't do a lot of install before we left, but what we did was a lot of education of ourselves, which we didn't have time really to do before, or we didn't have the guidance or the knowledge to be able to know what we didn't know. So we joined an excellent group of people in Victoria in BC, which was the Blue Water Cruising Association. And they provided, there are people who have been cruising and people who want to go cruising. And they get together and share information so that we learned what it was that was important to know and to be able to do and to have, versus what was just nice to know and nice to have. And that made a real big difference in our confidence and our preparedness to be able to go cruising, so that when we finally did go, we knew what we were missing. For example, a water maker.
Yep.
But we also knew that until we get into tropical countries, it's not really essential.
Yeah, they have 3 types of participants. They have dreamers, people preparing like we were. They have doers, that's people out there cruising, and then they have doners, and that's the people that have come back after cruising till they're no longer want to cruise. The mentorship of that club was amazing, because and their education programs were very good. We got to actually use a life raft in a pool. We got to use the equipment that we owned, our own personal safety equipment, and found out that it works very well. I also learned how to suture through another class given by a fellow cruiser who happened to be a doctor. And to me, if somebody gashes himself, and I've never done it before, this sort of gave me the insight of what it should look like and what it should be like. So you're just not flying blind. Also, the mentorship of the rest of the members, they, with open arms, they said, yes, come. We'll show you what we're doing. We got so much educational. We even did a psychology course.
They said, come, we'll tell you what we do.
Yeah. We even had a psychology course, like psychology for couples who sail. Because it's another whole never level. I mean, this is a 42-foot boat. And sometimes people really get on your nerves when you're with them 24/7. So it's like, how do you deal with this, right? How do you still be a kind partner, even when somebody's pushing your buttons all day long, or something happens? People, they have knee-jerk reactions, and you got to know how to deal with the other guy afterwards, after you've had these reactions, so that there's no hurt feelings. So it's on a professional level, but you're still partners, no matter what you do, all the way through it. So that was a weekend course. That was pretty intensive.
It was, and
we learned a lot.
Yeah, mainly that
Be kind.
there's things to fear and there's things not to fear, and when you fear something, well, find out about it and figure out how to deal with it, and then you won't be afraid anymore.
Yeah, we started asking what-if questions of each other, and we do it with the girls too, just so they know. We'll say, what if this happens, what would you do? And they give us what they think they would do. Phil does it, I do it, and then we say, okay, we have to find out what we will do if that happens. And that way we have a plan for that incident. So when that incident, should it pop up ever, at least we've thought about it, everybody has talked about it, and we have a plan of action. And we always hope it never is going to happen, but hey, life's like that. It gives you speed bumps whenever. There's a lot of speed bumps out in the ocean, trust me.
Called waves.
Well, let me get that's maybe a good lead-in for greatest moments.
When we moved on the boat with 40 boxes.
That was a great moment.
That was a great moment. We had previously sold our home. We moved into a smaller condo-type apartment. And then we chose the stuff we thought we were going to need on the boat. So we packed the 40 boxes, we had them shipped to my brother, and then we moved them on board. Well, I think we moved 20 of them off between then and now. But the first night on board was the best night ever. I mean, nothing was unpacked. We didn't care. It was like, yes, we
It's hard
made
to
it.
imagine a sailboat full of boxes, moving boxes and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's
We
how
had
it
them.
was.
But it was like the best night ever, right? Right.
Yeah.
We opened up some wine and had some beer, and it's like, yeah, we did it. We actually did it. And it didn't really matter what was going to be ahead of us, but we know that we were there at that time. It's like anybody moving on board for the first time.
It's funny how we downsized 2-3 times, and then on the boat you had to downsize again.
Yes.
But it kind of feels good sometimes when you get rid of all the stuff that is weighing you down.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't weigh you down.
Yeah, it's elation really, because you don't have that much stuff to worry about anymore.
You start to question: do you own stuff, or does stuff own you?
Yep, very much so. And we can't even accumulate stuff again, because if we do, we have to make sure that we can use it all the time. Like, what are we going to use it for? Is it really needed? Okay.
How about greatest moment sailing?
I think when we left Monterey, when we're going through the islands there, and actually we motored, didn't we? The first time we put the sail up was like the greatest day sailing.
Yes, it was. That was the first sailing in Vancouver Island, in the Gulf Islands, and the San Juan Islands of the Georgia Strait. In the summertime, winds are generally very light, and so we motored a lot until we were crossing to Vancouver on a particular day, and the wind came up, so we decided, let's put our sails out while we can. The wind is up, let's sail. And we did. That was pretty awesome.
It was really awesome.
Since then, we really haven't sailed very much, but when we do, it's pretty good.
It's so quiet. I love it. You don't get the drone of the engines. And this boat loves to sail close to the wind. She's not a fast boat, but when she sails very well, and it feels so good, right?
Yeah.
And it's very responsive. It's awesome.
It's like a Spanish galleon gliding over the big swells of the ocean.
Thank you. What about scary moments? Did you encounter any scary
We certainly
moments?
have, sure.
I'll let you take that one.
The first time that we got into, ocean swells and waves that were 2 or 3 meters, we started to become concerned, and we had some overnight passages where we were in waves like that. Fortunately, we didn't have to go into the waves. They were always behind us, so that made it somewhat easier. We had some scary moments. Shortly after we had our autopilot installed, we set out, and we're many miles offshore, 20, 25 miles offshore, on a passage, and I thought the autopilot was off, but in fact it was on. And so I was trying to steer the boat, but it wasn't responding. It was just keeping on this particular course, and the course it was on was out to sea, westward out into the ocean. So that was a scary moment till we got it sorted out. And since then, our moments have been very calm.
Yeah.
Very comfortable. And we take a lot of care too with paying attention to the weather to make sure that we do what we can to stay out of dangerous conditions, scary conditions, because we don't want to be scared.
No, it's no fun when you got water coming over your gunnels.
And we're not on vacation. We don't have a schedule. So if we stay a day or a week or a month in a certain place, it's not a disaster.
It's of no consequence. And normally when we have to stay, good things happen anyhow. We meet really nice people. We go out for a very nice dinner. It's great. So we're not at anybody's beck and call. Phil is excellent at reading weather maps and even the high pressure maps at the 500 millibar. He's trained himself through blue water cruisers to read weather maps very well. He reads the water very well, and when somebody else is on watch, he trusts that person. So that makes it really easy for the rest of us to have a nice sail.
Cool. Like once you said you nearly had to apply for a zip code, or what was that? Where you were stuck
in Oregon.
You were stuck in Oregon, in Newport?
Oh yeah, we're stuck in Newport, Oregon, and we just could not get through the bar. The bar was closed every day. And out at sea, we were getting confused oceans, which means you're getting waves coming in from 2 places. The wind was coming in on the nose, and the bar was totally havoc. So we stayed through until Halloween. But yeah, I thought for a while we'd have to apply for a new zip code on that one. But it turned out fine afterwards. We had Halloween there. The girls had a good time. We found a Halloween party for them. And and I found a friend there that I hadn't seen in 10 years that I used to work with. It just so happened that they were on the dock next to us. So that was kind of cool. And, Newport has a lot of really neat things there. They have a lot of stuff to show. So it worked out well.
Super. Sacrifices and gains, if you...
Sacrifice. Well, of course, we don't see our children as often as we would, or our grandchildren as often as we would, or parents as often as we would, because we were living in the same city as they were for how long?
10 years,
12
years.
Exactly. But they all have busy lives too, and it's with your kids, you have to let them live their lives, I think, and it's being always there. They learn to sort of depend on you a little too much. Our gains is that we've sort of finally gotten to live our life the way we wanted to. Now, this has been a plan for a very long time, and we told our kids when they were very young that we're going to run away from home someday and live on a boat. But when we sold the house, they kind of went, what? And as if it was a big surprise. And I had to remind them that, this was always the plan. And they said, yeah, but we thought you were kidding. So, no, we don't kid about stuff like this. So, to me, and the fact that I get to work side by side, with Phil is awesome every day. And have my grandkids on board for a year at a time. You will never experience that ever, sitting in the same city, because you get called on for babysitting or stuff like that. But you don't get to really be a part of these kids' lives. So I think that's a gain.
Yeah.
What about you? Over to you, Phil.
Oh, the gain is very different lifestyle. It's more relaxing, maybe not more relaxing, less stressful than work life. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's work that I decide to do, and I decide when to do it. So much better. Plus, we're not experiencing the winters that occur.
So that's way better.
Up north.
Yeah, and my housework is 20 minutes a day. Clean up 20 minutes, and the rest of the day is whatever I choose. So it's now what my choice, his choice, what we do.
It's past mid-March, and I haven't worn shoes for months.
Gotta love that. But we do have some sort of a schedule, like on the boat. 5 o'clock is
routine.
Yeah, 5 o'clock's quitting time. We sit up in the cockpit and have a nice drink together and talk about our day, because we don't know really what each other's been doing all day because we're busy doing our own thing. So we get up in the cockpit and we have a drink and say, okay, how was your day? Which is kind of nice. We get up in the morning, go in the cockpit and have our coffee and say, how was your night? It's kind of nicety stuff that you have time to do, whereas before, when you were running to and from the jobs, you really didn't have time to ask each other, how are you? Really, how are you? So that way, I think that's a gain too.
Me too.
You mentioned that you kind of work together on things now.
Yep.
And so the relationship actually changed a little bit through this.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
When we were both working, we would actually be awake and together only a few hours a day. But now we're together 24 hours a day almost. So, it's been a big change, and I don't know, maybe we're still adapting.
Yeah, some days. But you learn to give the other person some space.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because 42 by 13, there's not a whole lot of space. But to know that that person really needs to have a time to him or herself, and learning what those signs are, without that person saying, please, I need some time. So we're relearning each other's personalities again, because this is like a new life for us. And when you pick up the signals, it works really good.
But I don't think it's really a function of cruising. It's just a function of retirement, We just naturally spend more time together, no matter whether we were on land or
Yeah.
on the sea.
Oh, it's nowhere to go when you're at sea. Like, there's nowhere to go.
But there's an aspect of sailing together and working on one thing together
We have a common
where
goal.
you have to actually communicate with each other probably in a different way than you had to before.
I think so. I mean, when Phil is working on whatever system he's working on, and he says, "Can I have the thingamajig or the gazinda?" I have to think about what's he talking about, because I never had a thingamajig or a gazinda before, and now I'm learning every day on what these tools are called and what they do, and I have an interest in what he's doing because I have a stake in this too, right? We've always thought we have to learn each other's roles in case something happened to each other. That way,
I have to know where the chips are.
yeah, he has to know where the chips are.
And the beer.
And the beer. But, to learn the systems, if he gets sick or something and the systems needs to be attended to, well, it's not going to be very good for him if I have to go say, Phil, how do I do this again? I mean, it just doesn't work, right? So learning the systems beside him, watching him do things and handing him the things that he does through repetition, I learn all the time. He also learns what they call the pink jobs, I guess. He learns where the chips are. Where's the beer?
How to wash clothes in a bucket.
How to wash clothes in a bucket. If you want clean underwear and socks, buddy, you got to learn how to do it. There's other common goals. When we were at home and working, one of us would take care of the finances. Well, now the finances are up to both of us, okay? And it's a really real deal. Like, we're on a fixed income now. We're retired. So we have to put our money where it is most used, where it's better used, and get the best value we can, best bang for our buck, right? And so it's no longer a fact of saying, oh, well, the other guy's going to do it. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you do have to worry about it because you're out there buying stuff for systems in the boat. Not squandering, but buying very real stuff. But we have to stay within our budget as well. So that's a new thing for us. Learning where the frying pan's kept. That's a really big deal. Because, if you need to fend for yourself, then you need to find the stuff. And how things are done on the boat. It's done very differently than at home. There's no microwave here. We have a stove and an oven, yes. But we don't have a toaster oven. We don't have a microwave. We don't have a lot of electronic or electric type of appliances anymore. So a lot of stuff is old school again. And you have to relearn it. And phoning for a pizza sometimes doesn't work either. Because they won't deliver out there in the ocean. So yeah, it's a learning curve for both of us.
Kind of get the feeling that it's on the boat and it's kind of old school again, how the relationships work as well.
Yeah.
It kind of detaches itself from, the hustle and bustle. Although, yes, it's retirement maybe, and that's where it comes from, that you can do this, but it's still, this is what I imagine people would do. I mean, you do have a TV and stuff, but not all the time.
I mean,
but this closeness and that more different rapport.
It is a different rapport. We're no longer. At one time, we were sort of saying ships in the night, where I was running with one kid to go to one activity, he was running with another one to go to another activity. Then the kids moved away. Then it was like concentrating on the career to get the best promotions we could get in order to get the best retirement type pension we could get. So we sort of concentrated that on a lot of stuff. And now it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about that. And it's like, what do you want to do today?
But it's no less active, bro.
No, we're still very busy, but it's like, okay, what do you want to do today? Do you want to just hang out? Or Do you want to go take a bus? Let's go look at something. So we have very many choices, and the choices don't have to be what has to be done anymore. It'll be like, yeah, it'll be there tomorrow, so maybe we should just go check something out, hang out, whatever, take the day off. That's cool.
Self-sufficiency. How does it ring in you? Like, maybe you can describe a little bit how you did the boat, or what it feels like too. And it's for both of you, this question.
Certainly, it's a aspect of cruising that you need to be self-sufficient as far as practical. Obviously, one person can't build a boat and sail it and fix it, at least not this person, all by yourself. But there's been a lot of learnings. As I alluded to earlier about the Blue Water Cruising Association, we learned a lot about what you need to know and what you need to know how to do. And I've learned to do a lot of stuff, that's for sure. From installing wiring, routing wiring, to I just finished installing a water maker. It took me most of a month, over a month, but I had all the parts and I had sort of a half-assed design, which I had to make real. So it was a lot of learning, definitely, and in different areas. You have to be able to self-sufficiently navigate the seas, navigate new countries, navigate immigration policies and procedures, navigate grocery stores, new towns.
Self-sufficiency, I feel that our boat right now, with the solar power, the wind power, the water maker, that we're good to go and moor or anchor without having to go to dock until we run out of beer. Okay, that's the big thing, running out of beer. This captain is powered by beer. He likes to have his beer at night, like one beer for his dinner. The other things that we've learned that is you plan. So our backgrounds in planning have come in really good to find out what spares you need on the boat. Okay, because you might be in a country where none of this stuff is available really easily. Whenever we come into port, it takes us about a week and a half to get our bearings to find out where the necessities are. Where is the reasonable grocery stores? Where is the reasonable places we can buy equipment, tools, gizmos, gazindas, all those things. Once you have the lay of the land, it's pretty easy. Once you leave the U.S. and we're now going into Mexico, it's going to be a very steep learning curve. So we're planning to be self-sufficient for a good month until we learn the lay of the land, learn how they do things, learn how business is conducted in another country, just like when we came into the States. You would think Canada and the States would be identical, but they're not. I mean, there's a cultural difference, and people do things differently here than we do in Canada. Banking is conducted differently here. People here aren't so much on the electronic side of the world. I was very shocked in that. Like, we were so used to just tapping our debit card to be able to purchase something. Here, everything is signed for. Like, you may or may not be able to use your Canadian credit card because you don't have an American address or an American zip code. Things like that are different. And again, we're now planning, we're going to Mexico, so now we're planning to be self-sufficient for a good month before we really have to rely on anything. So, buying extra oil, buying paint, buying extra little screws and springs, having enough food that the kids will eat, without having to submerge them into another foreign culture. I mean, who doesn't like tacos and burritos, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico, the tacos and burritos are not what they're accustomed to. They're different. So, and this is supposed to be an enjoyable type thing. So, yeah, we're trying to make plans to be as comfortable. I mean, any food can be uncomfortable, right? So we want to be as comfortable as possible, have what we need on board in order to help ourselves and not have to plug in to anybody else. I think that's the bottom line in that one.
Enough said.
There you go. Next.
Very good. Tip, what would you have done differently already? Do you have any tips for anybody would? I mean, you were prepared really well by that association.
I think
Yes.
yeah, I think with our military background, I think my biggest tip is I wouldn't spend a lot of money on what if things go wrong. I would put your money on preventing bad things happening. So do your maintenance.
Make sure things go right.
Yes. Do everything you can to make sure things go right, okay? If there's something on your boat that you are a little bit suspect of, change it to make you feel totally comfortable with it. We did. And buying a life raft, yeah, they're great, okay, when things go bad. But concentrate on making things go right. Don't take chances. There's no reason for it in this day and age. With the electronics that we have, the information that we're fed from different agencies around the world, when things go bad, they're going to go really bad, really quick, and you're going to be on your own anyhow. Okay? But if you can do everything you can possibly do to make things right, then you'll have a lot of confidence in yourself when things do go bad. And it shouldn't cost you everything to do that. So, anyhow, that's our plan, is prevention rather than knee-jerk reaction. I think that's the biggest tip. And bring lots of flip-flops.
What I would say to people is, don't be afraid.
No.
It's something new. Yes, it's the unknown. You don't know about it. Find out about it.
Yeah.
Find out what you can, and don't let the unknown hold you back. People have crossed oceans in open canoes and lived to tell about it. So when you take the measures to prepare and mitigate risk, then go do it.
That's the big thing. And that's why we do a lot of what ifs
It'll probably end well.
at the breakfast table. You know, what if we spring a leak? You know, what if we bring on water when one of the portholes is open? What are you going to do? What if I fall down the stairs and you cannot get breakfast? Well, what are you going to do? Yeah, these are all things, you know, like if you do your what ifs, if you do your drills, if you teach everybody on board to deal with the bad stuff, then they'll be more prepared to deal with the bad stuff. And the bad stuff won't be so bad, I don't think.
Very cool. Moment and day of leaving. Do you still have memories?
Oh, good Lord, yes. When we left Victoria, when we said goodbye to everybody,
Oh, we had a big party.
we had a huge party.
It was really almost the height of summer, the 1st of July, that we had planned to leave. We told everyone in our marina where we were living that we had planned to leave, and they were all very supportive and encouraging. They planned a big send-off party, which happened to coincide with Canada's National Day, Canada Day.
Yep. Pig roast.
And then as it turned out, so we had a great party, we had a great send-off, but then we didn't actually leave for 2-3 days later.
Oh, yeah, we found
So the actual departure was a little anticlimactic, but we had a good send-off party anyway.
Yeah, it was wonderful. The only drawback was during this Canada Day party where we had the pig roast and we were all actually a part of this party. It was great. That day, my sister had a stroke, and my other sister's daughter-in-law was hospitalized the same day. So it was like, okay, what are we going to do? And not only that, but we found that the engine mounts, 2 of them are broken under our engine. Luckily, we had good friends in the marina, and one of the gentlemen, Ron, he was amazing. You know, he got right. He says, okay, we can fix this.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. But you can't leave without it being fixed. So yeah, we agreed with him 100%. So we got the engine mounts fixed. I went up to Courtney to see my sister and to make sure that things were happening for her as they should have been. The other young lady who was in Victoria, I couldn't do much about, but my sister was, you know, genuinely worried about her daughter-in-law. So it was like, okay, all this things happening at once, so what are we going to do? So we took a deep breath, fixed what we could fix, checked out what we could check out, and then we went to Courtney, and we stayed in Courtney Comox for 2 weeks with my sister until I was confident enough that I felt I could leave and know that she was in good hands, that she didn't need anything. And after that, we circumnavigated Vancouver Island and never looked back. Well, actually, we met up with family members along the way because they would drive up to see us, which was really cool. You know, like, who does that? It's a long drive on an island road. You know, and it only goes 2 ways, north and south. So that was really cool, having sort of saying goodbye again, but ciao. You know, it was good. It had some special times together. And our last night in Canada, we actually flew a paper lantern, a Japanese paper lantern. And on that paper lantern, we wrote down all of the high points of our trip so far, which was really, for all 4 of us, which was really cool. And then we lit it. It lifted off the deck about this high and then went sputter. And the next morning we left and went over to the US of A. And so far, so good.
Last question. Dream destinations? Or destination?
Well, I hope to see the South Pacific Islands, French Polynesia, New Zealand, Australia, maybe Japan, although that's kind of far north. But that's the dream destination.
Mediterranean. For me, it's Europe. That's where my roots lie. I want to do it all, basically. I'm like a little kid in a candy store, and I read in a magazine, like, wonderful destinations. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to do that. So
Sail around the world.
the you know, as they say about oysters, is, you know, the world is your oyster, right? You can do whatever you want to do. We don't have any hard fast rules. We don't have any hard and fast plans because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline tomorrow. But whatever it is, it's going to be amazing. We just know it. What do you think? You ready for some amazing stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what? I do have a question for you, a little bit more about homeschooling, because
okay.
I didn't put that in here, but it seems to be some cruises have kids on board, and we had it with the Brazilians too, a little bit about homeschooling and how
Sure.
that is for you. I think, if you don't mind, because I think and what your both takes are on it, because people seem to be quite afraid of that.
Well, I'll tell you my take is that homeschooling, it requires planning in advance. You need preparation, you need materials, you need to know what the curriculum is, what are you going to teach. And you have to feel confident that you're able to teach it, that you're able to answer questions about it or find out answers.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of time. Homeschooling is not free time.
No, it takes a lot of effort.
It takes a discipline and a schedule, and it takes time. You have to have the time to do it. So that time can't be spent doing other things that you might want to do.
Well, it depends on the case. Okay, our case is we have 2 girls. They'll be going home in July, and they'll be going back to their normal schools. Okay, so we felt it was our responsibility to prepare them as much as we can for the next grade, using a curriculum that we liked, trying to get through most of it. And we, halfway through, we said, well, we really want to worry about the quality of what they're learning rather than the quantity of their learning. And we touched base with their land-based teacher. And we said, well, this is what we're going to concentrate on, is quality of what they're learning. Having said that, if these kids were going to be on board forever with us, I would document what they are learning, so that somewhere down the road where they want to go to university, then they have a really good record of what they have learned. And they'll be comfortable enough to take any entrance exams they have to. It took us about 2 months to find a really good routine with the girls. We have 2 routines. One is when we're on passage. Day 1 on passage is a pass for everybody, because everybody has to get used to living on passage time, which means the 2 girls that we have are chronic seasick. So they wear scopolamine patches. And the first day, they're not really with it anyhow. They're getting used to rolling, the position of the boat, rolling. We're all getting used to that. The second day, I entice them with doing homework because the time passes faster with them. And it's usually pretty easy. I'll teach them stuff when I'm not on watch, when Phil's on watch. And we're open to questions at any time. We'll be walking through here and all of a sudden we'll get a hand come up. Oma, I have a question. Okay, good enough. The third day, everybody's feeling usually pretty good because their body has caught up with their inner ear, and they're more alert. They're more apt to want to do something. They're back in the groove, what we call our cruising groove, okay, where everybody's eating again, good meals, not just light snacks. They're feeling comfortable with what they're doing. We're learning at the table here, but if there's anything neat happening outside, like whales, dolphins, other sea life, all bets are off. We're on top. We're going to go see this stuff first, and that takes priority. When we're in port, the kids get up about 8 o'clock, and they do their personal stuff, have their breakfast, blah, blah, blah. 9 o'clock, they're at the table. And we start with something called Mr. Oxford, which is they take the Oxford Dictionary and they blindly pick a word. And they have to know the word, they have to spell it. They have to know what it means and use it in a sentence properly. And we'll do this all week. Each girl picks a word, so at the end of the week we have 10 words. We have a spelling bee. And at that time, we call it the word nerd, spelling bee, because the person who comes on top with the most right gets a box of nerds. They love nerds. They'll do anything for a nerd, right?
Sour candy.
Sour candy, yeah. And then we go into something, into some, what I like to wake up the brain with some times tables and stuff like that. Because I find when they came to the boat, they didn't know the times tables. They had no idea. And they were stumbling and fighting and crying because they didn't know them. So now they know them. And we use a lot of Kumon system for that. After that, from about 9:30 till noon, they'll be working on English, social, science. They break for lunch. About an hour, we have an hour for lunch. We all have lunch together. And then in the afternoon, it's 2 intensive hours of math. 3 o'clock, we break. And from 3 until 6, I've kind of insisted that they go out, do something physical. And places like this, they can go ride a bike, they can play tennis, they can swim. When we didn't have a place like this, they could take the dinghy out, paddle around the dinghy, but do something physical. Kids need to play as well as they need to learn. We have no book days, which means that we're off visiting somewhere, either an aquarium, a museum. Sometimes it's just looking around where we are. and learning what's there and finding stuff there. Whenever we do a visit, they do a report, and they post it. This system seems to work for us fairly well. I mean, you're going to have your tired days. You're going to have the days where, it's Friday. Okay, let's have an abbreviated day and go somewhere. But it takes our time to do that, right? And it's like intensive. So this past week is March break, and we enrolled ourselves in a whole bunch of different activities that was around science, engineering, technology, where we actually visited 5 different areas. It was a good week. Excellent week. So you've got to balance that. Are your kids going to go into school the next year? Are you going to go for a year? Or is this a lifestyle? And lifestyle cruisers, they tend to call it unlearning because they use their environment to learn. So, and it's a very personal thing. And they're your kids.